All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sinful Gaming. We should be live. If you can hear me, if you're in the chat and you can hear, let me know. I'm going to do my own little sound check, make sure everything's working. Apparently, it is. So, yeah, sound appears to be working, which is good. Yeah, you're starting on your Stormcast as well there, Jason. I'm continuing on this slog of 60 libs. We will get there. But for now, we're going to be applying some Elysian Green. We're starting off with all the cloth. Camera's over there. Completely the wrong area of what I was trying to show. I was trying to show my models in the microphone. That should say what sort of day it's been like for me. Yeah, so we're getting green on the cloth, and so this will be the third to last. I've got two more base colors to do after this, and we can wash them. I'm going to at least get a layer down on the few more important parts, and then we'll probably call them done for the sake of getting them ready for the tournament. I'll start moving on to other things. And yeah, so I just want to get at least the shields done up to like a whiter color than what they currently are. So they'll get a wash and a layer, putting them up to like an almost white. We'll do cloth. We'll probably do a highlight on. We'll do a wash on everything, and we'll probably layer the cloth. And that will be that for the Stormcast for now. We'll probably come back and do like some highlights on all of them. In the end, they'll probably look a bit more like this guy. And then I've got 10 Free Good Guard, a unit of K-Knight Shadow Stalkers, 2 Castellans, a Veritan, and a bunch of Gryph-hounds to do, and then just the bases, and we're done at 2,000 points. Been a fun little project. Getting another game in with them tomorrow night against some Ossiarch Bone Reapers, which will be fun. I'm actually against my clubmate that I'm going to the tournament with. So we're both going to be gloves off. No worries, Kevin. Glad to see you here, mate. Happy birthday, mate, once again. I hope you're doing well. Hope you have a good day. I mean, if you're already allowed to hobby this early in the morning where you are, it's a good day, isn't it? Sounds like a good day to me. Yeah, hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope the family and everyone is doing well. And so, what have people been up to hobby-wise lately? What are you working on? You've got your Stormcast, Jason. What Stormcast have you been working on, buddy? Have you got like Soul Wars, or did you buy one of the other Star Collecting boxes? End up deciding on a scheme to go with for your Stormcast as well? Yeah, so we're just slowly making some progress through the Stormcast. And if you can hear a slight rumble in the background, I do apologize. That is the aircon going, as it is currently still like 34. It's currently still 34 degrees here, Celsius, for those wondering, around the world on different places that use other temperature gauges that I don't understand. Nice, Jerome. Got some spray paint to pick up that backlog. Lovely. I picked up some spray paint as well. After this, I'll be working on just a couple of models to get Silver Tower up and running. Ooh, I have a notification that I need to check. Sorry, guys. Awesome. Sorry about that, everyone. I just had a message from work. I can never escape it. If you do work in kitchens like me, I strongly recommend organizing your rosters and checking out a fancy little app called Deputy. Anyway, back to Warhammer chat. Yeah, so what have people been working on? Let me know what you've been working on. New Chaos Warband, though, Kevin, they look amazing. I can't wait to grab her. I've still got to paint up a whole bunch of my Underworld stuff. So that'll be, I think the Konothi will probably be my first one to get painted up. They'll probably hit my paint desk sometime soon. Especially since I'm allowed to do Living City. I think how it's going to work is because I'm doing a Living City army popular demand on the poll. We'll see the Konothi Warband done because then I'll probably take them in games because I can have Sylvaneth allies. Or Sylvaneth in the city. Just for a bit of fun. Oh, nice. Jerome, you're painting a black dragon. That's awesome, man. I love that model so much. I know some people aren't fond of it, but I particularly like the very, the serpentine-looking drakes, worms almost is what they look like more than drakes. Very Asian aesthetic, like very worm-like of like you see all the ancient Asian dragons drawn, or like Chinese dragons and all that, how they're very like snake-like. Big fan of that black dragon model. I love it. I've got two of them. I've got to paint up my second one, which is a sorceress on black dragon for whenever I want to use Jerusa Kraith. Oh, we're going for a Red Eyes Black Dragon scheme as well. I like that a lot. I think in the end I went for Yellow Eyes on my Black Dragon, but it is black. Really easy way I painted mine. So I base sprayed it and then painted it up with Storm Vermin Fur, and then just applied a couple of layers of Black Templar contrast to it, and that was my Black Dragon done. I think using a lot of the different grey tones under your black when you use the contrast for Black Templar worked really nice, just either giving you some warmth or some cold sort of effect with the black. Storm Vermin Fur is much warmer, I guess, than a lot of the other greys that GW produce. So made my dragon look a lot more alive than just a standard sort of black. Oh, hi Nick. Just finished painting up my Marathi, starting on some Lumineth. Awesome, man. Marathi is a sweet model, and she is on my paint desk. Well, on my painting pile. as our Lumineth. Lumineth seem to be coming second in the polls, so we might see them after I've done up a Living City army, because I'm a man of the people, and the people voted quite convincingly. I can't remember. I haven't built the kit, and I think I've thrown away my instructions, which I have. Can't remember. Yeah, for the meantime, they do sit on there nicely. Like, they sit pretty snug on it. So I think for the meantime, you could probably just quite easily change the model and sit them on. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of different things you can do with that model. It's such a cool kit. Yeah. So yeah, for those just joining, I'm painting up Liberators, 60 of them in fact, because I'm that guy that's going to be running 60 of them. I mean, I've had my Liberators, I've had like the urge to paint my Warrior Chamber up for so long, and then finally an army that has Liberators playing well. I don't know what they'll do with cities. I think cities will see updates, but not in what people are expecting. I think there's a very limited range of models in cities that will see a direct upgrade, if that makes sense. Like, I think very few models in cities will see out the ages. But that doesn't mean cities will go away. I think cities will just change over time. Like, you may still have your Dreadlord on Black Dragon, but it will be and look vastly different maybe to what he does now. Although I say that the Dark Elf stuff is probably the stuff that is the most unique looking out of anything in cities. Like Scourge Privateers, Darkened Covens, like, I think that's the aesthetic that actually has the most staying power. Oh, and probably Phoenix Temple as well. So that's my thought on cities. And to be fair, cities is such a popular army. I think GW can't ignore it anymore. While they may have originally had the plan of just lump it all in a book and it'll go away after time, with how popular that army is now, I don't think they can. I think by making a Cities of Sigmar book at this point, they either have to give it a direct replacement, like, say, Soul Black Gravelords may very well be for Legions of Nagash, or risk angering a lot of people. Dispossessing Wanderers? I don't think so. I think Wanderers are just a type of elf. And I think, like, Wanderers, rather than thinking of the Dark Elves as different types of Dark Elves, I think we need to think of the Elves as different types of Elves. So Wanderers, Phoenix Temple are just different types of elves than what Scourge and Darkland Goblins are. I think the best thing that can happen for cities is when we get new units for cities, that the boxes actually are mixed race. I think that would be the coolest way to drive cities. Rather than having all elves be Scourge privateers, I'd like to see pirates in general. Like, give me a pirate army. Like, give me pirate units and give me guard units. So instead of just having all the free good guard as humans, there's a mix of elf, Dwarden, and other things. Yeah. Well, Stormcast for the most part, the reason why they're all human is because they have to be people that pray to Sigma. Now we found out though, lore-wise, that it's not always humans like that pray to Sigma. Like we have other people that are devoted. We have other races that are devoted to Sigma, which is cool. Yeah. And so, yeah, I don't think, cities won't disappear, but it may not exist as we know it for all the time of Age of Sigma. Like, I think there's potential to change. Like, personally, I'd like to see a lot of the free good stuff get updated to look more Age of Sigma. Narrative hope predictions for Techless. I'm on the side of I want Nagash to go. I want Nagash to get beaten up and destroyed. Because for me, I think death is much more interesting if Nagash isn't overarching, and like isn't if Nagash literally isn't all. I think that's the most interesting narrative for death is having him lose and be destroyed, and having the Mortarks having to put the pieces together of what happens when Nagash falls. I don't think they'll do that, but I think Techless is going to win. For me, it seems GW very high on the Lumineth. They've hit a real winner, and the way you know they've hit a real winner is because people either love Lumineth or they absolutely hate them, and that is actually the best sort of army in the game because it's my. Look at 40k. Why are Space Wolves and Dark Angels so popular? It's because people either love Space Wolves or they love Dark Angels, and they hate the other one. You get a Space Wolf player and a Dark Elf. Sorry, not Dark Elf. Dark Angel play in the same room, and they will bicker and argue about who's the best, why they're the best, what they've done, what the other one's done, and all this other stuff. And they have like just this constant argument. And what's great about that is that people can get passionate because the armies are passionate. And Lumineth have actually struck that really well in that you have people that love them. They love the weird and far out there wacky look that they have. That they're so far removed from high elves as we know them. And you have people that hate it, like absolutely hate it. And both are great reactions for when you release a product, because the Luminous get talked about all the time, whether by someone who loves them or someone who hates them. But it's sort of the old any publicity is good publicity. So I think GW are very anyway. Back onto your question, Jerome. I think GW are very high on Lumineth, so I think I almost wouldn't be surprised, right, if Lumineth are the ultimate victors out of all this Broken Realm stuff, and we see in the end Lumineth in our Age of Sigmar 3 starter box. I think that's my big call. I wouldn't be surprised to see Stormcast finally not in a box set and replaced by Lumineth in the starter box. What about you? What does everyone in the chat hope to see from Broken Realms tech list? Throw that one back at you guys. What's some hopes and predictions you think you'll see? See, I think that's the most important part of the lore of Sigmar, Age of Sigmar, is that Sigmar is not a fighter anymore, Jerome. I think you leave that longer. I don't think it's yet time that Sigmar needs to take to the field yet. I think you leave that until the game needs a massive revamp. And AOS 3, I don't think needs a massive revamp. I think it needs some tidying up around the edges, some rules brought back in line, but I don't think we're in that place where we're going to get like a 9th edition 40k where the game had this massive, massive change. Or even 9th wasn't that bad. I would say more 8th edition 40k. Or in fact, Age of Sigmar. I think you leave it when the game needs that massive change. But don't think we need to pull the Sigmar pin just yet. Because the lore in Age of Sigmar, the reason he doesn't fight is he's realized that he no longer needs to be the warrior. He needs to be the person, the figurehead, to lead and to adjudicate, delegate, now, rather than the warrior. Because he's no longer Sigmar the warrior king. He's Sigmar the god king. He plays a very different role now. But that would be cool. Like I will do one day want to see a Sigmar model. But at the moment, he's got his undefeated, well, now once defeated champion. Because obviously, Lady Alinda gave the Celestin Prime his first ever defeat. Yeah, I think the difference though is he's actually come to that conclusion himself because he made the mistake of throwing his hammer away, and it was at that point he realized what he needed to be. But yeah, at current point, he doesn't actually know Marathi has betrayed him either. At current. Because remember, Marathi captured all the Stormcast. So like a Mortal Kombat game with Age of Sigma, that'd be cool. Like I think you've got some cool characters that you could definitely build into like a fighting arena. I mean, and there's actually lore that you have the gladiatorium that Malarian built for Sigma that he uses actually to spy on Sigma. Um, that could be like a cool game. Me, I'm not much of a game. Like it's weird. I am not much of a computer gamer at all. Um, but that definitely would be a cool sort of idea for a game for Age of Sigmar. Um, like we're at that point where Warhammer is actually starting to hit like a lot more mainstream. I mean, Games Workshop is doing so well financially that it's able to push itself into other markets that it otherwise wouldn't have been hitting, say, even like 3 years ago. Like the fact that we're getting TV series like I think we're about to see Warhammer both 40k and Age of Sigmar explode in a way we've never seen before. Like Lord of the Rings brought a lot of focus towards the games in the universe when that came out because obviously Games Workshop picked up the game system and the rule system. But so Games Workshop have a bunch of TV series. So they've got the pilot out for the live action series. I think it's Ravna, isn't it? The Inquisitor one that's out. Someone might correct me later. But they've also started doing like animation. There's a ton of them that they're working on, and we should see the first one maybe in the next year. They said late this year we might see it, so I don't know how they're going to stream them or what they're going to do. I would bet the Games Workshop is going to make their own streaming service. Um, just knowing Games Workshop and how they like to work, and also, I think that's a mistake on their part. I think the best thing to do would be try and sell their license to Netflix or someone, but it does allow them to put out what they want when they want, so they'll likely go for that. But yeah, there's a ton of Warhammer stuff in the works. I mean, even more recently, like the more modern, like the fact that those kids' books have Billy Piper and David Tennant like reading them and narrating them is massive, and Brian Blessed like voicing Gotrek. So the fact where you're starting to get celebrities come out and like say that they actually take part in the game. We had obviously Superman himself, Henry Cavill, come out and say and like show off his custodes. And we've had like recently like other big name celebrities as well have come out and said they play. Remember the one of I always forget the guy's name. Oh, completely forgot the guy's name now. The dude who looks like Ron from the. There's the film clip where, like, literally they have Ron thinking he's this other guy. But yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in the works, and there's a lot of ways they're really taking advantage of this. Like this big surge in sales is really becoming massive for them because they're able to actually hit like markets and use people. They're doing really, really well. Slowly getting there with all this green. Green, green, and more green. What scheme and Stormhost am I doing? I'm doing my own Stormhost, the Defenders of Sigma. Green here will actually be the green here is actually just the free city that they protect to represent they're in the realm of life. So that's why they've got the green cloth on them. And the tabards, like the tabards and a bunch of the stuff is how they differentiate what company they're from and stuff. So colors are blue, gold. They've got white for their shields, and then they've got green cloth. And all they've got left in them is they've got to do the green, do the base coat of like the straps and stuff. So right, Cinderfall is obviously the name of the channel, but I actually got the name of the channel from the Warhammer Quest Hammerhall box set. Cinderfall is the district you play the game in. So just something cool. I really enjoyed the game. So that's where Cinderfall comes from. And then obviously the fighting the war against Grey means to fight the war against this Grey minis. You're trying to get rid of your Grey minis. That's the idea behind it. Liberated Party R4, yeah, definitely. My outros make so much more sense now. I'm glad they do to you, man. And yeah, definitely a Liberator party here. There is a lot of Liberators to paint. We're getting that. We're getting there with the Liberators. They are the vast majority of the army done once I've got them finished, so. Yeah, we should hopefully they should be done very soon. Got a couple more base colors to do, and then it will be onto washing, and then we can layer them up, and they'll be ready. After I've got these done, there's very minimal models that need to be done, so I'm going to try and smash out all my troops. Once I finish these, I'll probably just smash out the other remaining Griffhounds. Oh, nice! You're doing Silver Tower. I have my set painted up there along with some extra zinc. It is such a fun set to paint up. and I'll be doing a playthrough of it. You can play Silver Tower solo, so I'm going to do a Silver Tower solo playthrough. I think I've got 2 polls up now, no 3, for what characters people want to see. I'll put the last one up tonight, and then I'll get working on the 4 characters that'll be taking on Silver Tower together. But yeah, so yeah, we'll get that. And then after this, I think everyone voted for an army for me to do next, and that'll be a Living City army with some Wanderers. Nice. And then yeah, so the voting for names won't be done until later, but name suggestions will be put forward by Patreon and YouTube Live members. So if you want to be part of picking the names for the first bit of narrative content we'll do on the channel, and there will be tie-ins if these characters survive the Silver Tower. So we'll be building up some narrative for these characters in the Silver Tower. Nice, man. I'm glad you're enjoying the hobby content. I try to be positive as much as possible. Mainly because everything I try to do on the channel is all aimed at getting new people into the hobby, so I figure I need to be a positive sort of person. Yeah, and that's like the idea. So we're really going to start pushing into the narrative wargaming aspect very soon. Another reason why I'm painting up a Stormcast army for my next tournament is because then it gives me less to paint when we start doing Realm Gate War campaigns. So we're going to be playing in our own particular part of the realms, doing our version of the Realm Gate Wars and what happened in our particular area of the realms during the Realm Gate Wars. And yeah, we'll be going on from there. Telling some stories, hopefully building up like a narrative backlog that people can play. Because I have like the rough idea. Like I know where I want to get to. Obviously, I've got my free city that I've built up in Gairan called Hello Forge. I've got a little video. People can go read about some cool facts about Hello Forge on the channel. 10 facts about Hello Forge. But I know where I want to get to. So I want to find out how it got there, and I'm going to do that by playing some games. And so that'll be how we get to. So it'll be what is the cost. So people will get to see the character development. I'll be writing up some character development sheets and stuff like that. And so everyone will get to, and then we'll play their part. Once again, like just to give something to the YouTuber patrons, they'll get to suggest names and things. And the YouTube and Patreon supporters will help decide where things go and how the in-forked roads and stuff like that and how things progress. But all that will come probably over the next few months. The Silver Tower is going to be the first thing we're going to try just to see to build my narrative and stuff like that. But yeah, we really want to try and push a lot of like heavy narrative content on the channel. But we'll keep doing what we're doing as well, like all the beginner focused content, especially when I'm leading up to events. I'm going to do more competitive sort of content. So that's the aim, is like I only want to do competitive content when I've got competitive things to do. So you might have seen like this Stormcast list that I'm painting up is generally a lot more competitive than a lot of lists I run. And so the only reason it's that is because, well, I'm going to an event, so I want to get reps in with the army I'm going to be playing. So but yeah, the Silver Tower campaign should be a ton of fun. I think the Stormcast one is very tight at the top. I think it's the Lord Rallictor and the Knight Quester that are very, very close. Reagan Avalon, nice to see you there joining us. I've never been able to get into AOS despite kind of liking the basic rules. I like most of the model lines, but they often feel over-designed. I can see where that feel is. I myself felt very similar when I first saw like the first AOS models compared to fantasy. I'm an old fantasy player myself, and it took time to get used to what AOS was. But I think that's the appeal of AOS now to me is that it is so over the top. It's supposed to be this fantasy's fantasy. Age of Sigmar is the fantasy a fantasy world dreams up of as fantasy. I think that is the best description I've ever heard of Age of Sigmar. And Underdog Painting, nice to see you there, buddy. Now, to elaborate on that point, to make it sort of make sense. Yeah, JR4, you've sort of hit it on the head there. Like, it is supposed to be like it's supposed to be this fan. Imagine the fan like you're playing your bard in D&D, or you're playing some character in World of Warcraft. Imagine what that character dreams up of as a fantasy world. Warhammer Fantasy was grim fantasy, but it also was high fantasy still. Like, it still had magic as a very common thing. Like, I think the best example of a low fantasy, fantasy was definitely a high fantasy setting, but you got a much bigger look into the low fantasy within the high fantasy setting. Like, because Skaven still existed in Warhammer Fantasy, and they are as high fantasy a race as you can get. Same like the elves. The elves were high fantasy elves. They were not low fantasy elves. I think the best example of a low fantasy setting to me is Game of Thrones. That is a perfect low fantasy setting. Oh no, Underdog, that's horrible, man. Well, wait, you could just get more. You're probably not wanting to get more Stormcast, mainly because that'll just probably hurt having to buy the same things. Yeah. Well, Harry Potter's very low fantasy for like a place of witches and wizards. To be honest, it's a hidden world. Harry Potter, I probably think more closely relates to like Narnia. To be honest, like the hidden world fantasy world, like that you don't see. Yeah, and like they've definitely been getting more into the grim aesthetic of Age of Sigmar recently. I mean, the whole Soul Wars is very grim and dark. Like, I don't think any better a story of grimdark in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. There was the story during Moonlight Importance, where you had the Stormcast rock up at this. You had the father and son in the city, in the house, and they were suffering from Nurgle's rot. And in comes this shining Stormcast, and they're like, "Oh, Sigmar's here to save us!" And the Stormcast smashes them into the ground, pulverizes them, and kills them because they're tainted. And it's that sort of like, and then you start getting more stories about how these Stormcast have this chat later on in another one of the stories where they've like defeated all these Nurgle daemons in the city, and one of them says to their castellan, "The city is cleansed of the taint of Nurgle, my lord." And the castellan's just like, "Not yet, it isn't. Round up the civilians." And they go about and slaughter the entire town. And it's like that sort of grimdark is very prevalent in Age of Sigmar now because of the Soul Wars and stuff like that. I think the great thing about Age of Sigmar is that it has the capacity to be any sort of fantasy it wants to be because of how out there it is. You have great low fantasy setting stories like not so much low fantasy, but more gritty, generic human like Callus and Toll and Sea of Secrets. And then you can have like grand adventure stories, which were some of the best novels in Warhammer Fantasy. Was like the Thankor series over into Lustria. The Temple of Serpents was a great fantasy novel. Or even Knights of Bretonnia going on his quest throughout Bretonnia and into Athlorn, etc. Spear of Shadows, high fantasy stuff. Yeah, the stuff where they literally go into the gut. And then you have like the very high fantasy stuff. You have the stuff where they